It's the Dead Panda Podcast, and we talk about stuff such as stand-up comedy, improv comedy, and we ask people to share the feelings.
All right, well, we've actually been recording for like 13 seconds already.
Son of a bitch. Can't we start over? You always do this.
Yeah, we can start over, yeah.
All right, starting now. You aren't going to edit the video, are you?
No, this is all going in.
God damn it. Okay. So today, welcome to the Dead Panda Podcast, and today we are very excited to have a comedian and local radio broadcaster. I hope I'm saying this right, Dave Mencarelli.
Perfect, dude.
Okay,
Very nice. Took me longer than that to figure it out. First of all, congratulations on that goatee, man. Is that just since quarantine? Look at you.
Yeah, I was like a week into quarantine. I'm like, this is probably the only chance I'm gonna have to grow goatee because it takes me so long to grow anything.
Dude,
but I'm like, yeah.
To be honest, looking at you in the past, and if someone had said Luke can grow a goatee like that in 6 weeks, I would have bet against you. So
yeah, me too, honestly.
Oh God. Anyway, well, Dave, I want to jump right into this. I have a question for you right away.
Yeah.
I was watching like a highlight reel from 2009, 2010 for you, and I just want to know, how did you get the permission to use Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl on your YouTube channel?
So that was from a local television show that I did with Rick D'Elia, who's a comic out of Vegas now, but originally out of Boston, and Oscar Ovis, who's a local guy, and another guy named Mike Fleming. I don't know how we got away with that. They made that I quit the show because it was hard, and if something doesn't come easy to me, I quit. So I quit, and they just sort of made that, and I don't know how we have gotten away with that for so long. Probably because nobody cares about Rick Springfield. Unless, probably, I shouldn't say nobody. Probably because there are no menopausal 55-year-old women that regulate those things. That's his fan base and me.
Well, Luke, there's your answer.
Gotcha.
Probably now, when this is seen by millions, it'll probably have to come down now.
Yeah. Our tens of followers are going to sort it out.
Not tens, dozens. All right.
Dozen.
There's a difference.
Single dozen, yeah. So anyway, Dave, why don't you just kind of give us your story? Like, how did you start doing comedy? Where was your beginning started from?
So I think like probably both of you guys, anybody that's doing stand-up was usually like the funniest person at their job or in the family, right? And then people always tell you, oh, you should do stand-up. And I always knew that stand-up was hard, right? That like, okay, it's easy to be funny in my little peer group where we all share the same experiences. And, I could make a joke about one of the guys we work with and everybody knows that. And I thought that's way different than standing in front of a room full of strangers or, 11 people in a room, strangers, and trying to make them laugh. So I never really wanted to do it. And I still suffer from stage fright. I was petrified to get in front of people. That's why I have always loved radio, because I can, sit by myself and not worry about people's reactions. So I was petrified to get in front of people, and I didn't ever want to do it. I did it once. There used to be a local, like a public access TV station here called SNCAT, SNCAT. And they used to broadcast a karaoke night. And my work cohorts got me to do some stand-up at the karaoke night. And it was awful. It was terrible. I mean, the jokes weren't jokes. I was reading them off cards. It was horrible. And I thought, well, good, I'll never do that again. I hated it. And then there was a class offered at TMCC, and my mom, who's always been sort of my biggest fan, offered to pay for the class, a stand-up comedy class. And I was just so sick of my family and my friends bugging me about it. I said, if I do this, then we'll never talk about this again, right? I'll do the class, and then no one will ever mention stand-up to me again. And they all agreed. My mom agreed, and she said, but you have to finish the class. And I took the class, and it was 10 or 11 people in the class, and nobody wanted to do stand-up comedy. They were all taking the class because they were salespeople, or they had to give presentations at work, right? And they just wanted to be a little bit better at that. But it was a safe kind of place to do it. Everybody was nervous. So I completed the class. We had our graduation at Great Basin Brewery in Sparks, which was the hot open mic at the time. This is, oh, good Lord, this is before you two were born. This was 1999. And we graduated, we did the class. It was a great show because it was everybody's invited friends and family was all it was. It wasn't regular public. So they all knew what we were doing, and they were very kind to us. And then I didn't do it again for a year. I said, good, that's got that out of my system. And then I went, because of my ego, I went and sat in on the next class because I'd become friends with the teacher to see if anybody was funny. And that's where I met Adam Stone. You guys both know Adam Stone. He was in that second class at TMCC. And I met him, and we started going to the open mic at Great Basin and seeing guys that weren't very funny getting drinks bought for them and girls coming up to them. And I thought, Adam and I started thinking, well, can I curse on this?
Yeah.
Adam and I started thinking, well, fuck these guys. We're funnier than these guys. And then we just started getting up, and it kind of went from there. It was nice to have, like obviously you guys, I know you guys, and obviously you guys are pals, and you do a lot of stuff like this together. That makes a big difference. It did for me, and I don't know for you guys, it makes a big difference, right? To have somebody to sort of bounce things off of that you respect their comedic sensibilities, and someone to kind of keep going.
It's true. We have Luke and I have such like we're on opposite sides of the spectrum of what we think is kind of funny. So like we it gives, I think we give each other some pretty honest feedback. Like,
and where we come together is our taste for musical theater and musical comedy.
Right.
We're going to, would you like to tell them about the musical we're going to co-write together?
All right. So Dave, I went to film school in Buffalo, New York, and I that's where I got my start at the Helium there. And
oh wow.
We while I was working there, me and a mailman named Bill, we started working on a musical called Rape City. And it's kind of it's a love story. It's about consent in a post like a dystopian future. It's kind of like Blade Runner with
it's
more
a modern
rape.
modern fable, one of Aesop's fables. Like in
Set
the
to
end,
music.
they learn that consent is good, but like rape is sort of like currency. Like the more rape you do, the more credits you get, I guess.
See, you guys are smart too. Like I've seen Michael. I haven't seen you. I don't think perform more than just a couple of seconds, maybe at an open mic. But I've seen Luke a few times now at the Laugh Factory there. You guys do smart comedy. You're witty and smart, which I always wished I was. I feel like I am off stage, but on stage I'm just such a sort of a goofball, hacky kind of, hey, my ex-wife sucks kind of guy. So that you guys are writing this kind of thing doesn't surprise me, man. I think and that was the thing with Adam and I too. We definitely have different styles of comedy, though. Like you guys, we respected each other's opinion on comedy. You know, like I would write shit like, hey, I saw the Michelin Man the other day. He looks tired. And Adam would say, if you ever do that on stage, I'll never speak to you again. So thank God for that. So it's good to have that where you have different sensibilities, but you respect each other's opinion.
Yeah, and usually, and then the rest of the time, it's usually just roasting each other. Like we'll make fun of each other.
Right. I mean, isn't that, to me, like you guys, I think you both know, we've talked before. I don't love being on stage. You know, that's my least favorite part of doing stand-up. I love the part about all of us, if we're hanging out somewhere, kind of just lovingly shitting on each other. That's one of my favorite parts, is that locker room aspect of it. That's why I've never really given it up. I like being around comics, and I like that sort of thing, like you said, where you're just sort of roasting each other all the time. But it's done out of love, and this thing that we all share, that where we where we get up in front of people we don't know and try to get them to laugh at the things that we think are funny, which is it's a foxhole thing to me. Like I give credit. I used to be, and I still am guilty of being sort of an asshole about it sometimes, but I try to be better. But I used to be a real asshole about newer comics or open mic guys and stuff. But then somebody told me, and I wish I could remember who told me this. It might have been Drake Nelson, who's a comic as well, that said, "Hey man, everybody's just getting up there, and you should give them credit for having the guts to get up there." And that sort of changed my perception on everything. Even if I don't necessarily think somebody's funny or whatever, I still try to accept them into the circle, you know, because shit, it's crazy that anybody can do this. I always think it's a miracle to get in front of, let's say, 50 people and say something that you found funny. And if you even get one laugh out of 50 people from different ethnic backgrounds and religious backgrounds and financial backgrounds, and different from your perspective, and you get one laugh, that's a miracle. So if you get a room full of people to laugh even once in a 10-minute set, I feel like that's a miracle.
Yeah. And I figure, like, even if somebody isn't that great now, whether it be like if they keep working at it 6 months from now or maybe 3 years from now, they're gonna start to like be decent. So
I think like
it's just a process.
I agree, and this is what I like about you guys. Like you are always like, you guys will, when you've come to the shows and stuff at Laugh Factory, you're paying attention and you ask questions, and you know that there's a learning curve and that it is a process and that you are going to be better 6 months from now and a year from now and 5 years from now. I think the guys that frustrate me are the guys that there's two comics types of comics that frustrate me. The guys that think they know it all early on. And we were all that guy, I think. Like I know 9 months or a year in, because we cared about it a lot. Adam and I were probably the best guys at the open mic. Doesn't mean by any stretch that we were good, you know, but we were, and we had taken the class and we had studied comedy and stuff. Like you guys, I know are comedy fans, and we were as well. So I'm sure I walked around with like, oh, I'm fucking killing it, you know, and I was terrible. So that bothers me, because I guess I see myself in that guy nowadays. That frustrates me. And then there are guys, and there's a person that I could mention, but I won't, because I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he's a guy now that's super talented, really funny, can roll up there drunk or not prepared and be incredibly funny for 10 or 15 minutes, but doesn't do anything with it. That frustrates me as well. These naturally talented guys that just sort of piss it away and don't appreciate that they have that talent.
Yeah.
And you guys know what I'm talking about.
I have a guess. And some people are like, yeah, they're very talented, but they're terrible with like networking in any way, and they're just dicks to all the other comics. So it's like you aren't gonna get anywhere. Like doesn't matter how good you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. See, and again, Luke, how long have you been doing it?
I mean, performing about 4 years. I've been writing for a lot longer.
But so you're, as far as the stand-up world, like you're young, you're a baby in it, but you already get that, you know, you have to, there's so much that goes into it. And so many guys are good performers and terrible at promoting and networking, right? And some guys are great networkers and can make a killer flyer, right? But they suck, you know, and they're not, you have to work that whole thing. When I first met you, you came to me at the club with a sort of a promo package, and you said, here's what I've been doing, and here's who, you know, and you were nice, and you were professional, and you were pleasant. And I thought, you know, well, this guy deserves an opportunity, you know, because you did all those things right. And those things are important too, how you treat the other comics, and you never know who's going to be in a place to help you, man.
Yeah. And I really appreciated the opportunity to try out at the Laugh Factory.
Oh, dude, and you earned it, and I thought you did. Very well.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish there was a bigger crowd. I think I could have nailed it. And then
that's the tough part, man.
And then like the owner, I think I could, do different stuff.
Yeah, listen.
To more like be in his wheelhouse, because he didn't enjoy some of my stuff.
And if you're not a little more nervous the first time you get up, even at the Laugh Factory in Reno, and I'm not trying to make that into like it's a big deal, but it, like, for a young comic, it is. When I first got on stage there at Catch a Rising Star, like 8 years, it took me 8 years. And I was super nervous, you know, and because it's plus, and I didn't get up in an audition. You're in a first time on the Laugh Factory stage and you're auditioning for a spot, like that's hard. And I thought you handled that wonderfully. And again, it was, I don't know, there wasn't very many people. I don't remember the exact number, but it was light. It was, you know, a Wednesday.
Yeah, like 14.
Yeah, it was
maybe.
like, which those are, I mean, that's fucking hard for a guy who's been doing it 20 years. So I thought you did very well. You did the thing I'm looking for there, or the thing that impresses me in a situation like that is there's 14 people and you're auditioning. Did you look nervous? No. Did you look professional? Yes. Did you get some laughs? Yeah, you did. So I thought, and again, I think the final thing from him was he'll have you back again, right?
Yeah.
So that he could have easily, if you weren't, and he knows that as a comic as well, the owner of the Laugh Factory, he knows what you're up against and he knows what the things are. So if he wants to, you know, if he wants to see you again, then obviously you impressed him too. So, but the way you handled the whole way of approaching it and getting into it and introducing yourself was like, you know, both of you guys have always been super pleasant, nice. You come to that club is available for any comic locally. I've told you guys, right? And I think everybody knows you can come down there, and I never charge anybody, a comic, to come in. And you guys come frequently, and you network, and you meet people, and you want to come see, and you want to talk, and you want to learn. So that frustrates me that doesn't happen more often. That's one of the reasons, like, I like you guys a lot.
Well, I think that not to, like, I mean, Luke did great, but there is a time and a place to ask you this, and I think that's right now. It's like, it's when can I get up?
Dude, you next time.
That's the more important.
Next time. Well, let's preface all of this with if we ever fucking see live entertainment again.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Mike, you could, dude, next time the guy's in town, you're absolutely welcome to. I'll definitely get you a spot.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
You've been very. Listen, I don't know you guys super well, so I want you to know that I'm just busting balls here a little bit, and I don't want you to take. But like, Michael, you like every one of my fucking Instagram posts. Like that goes.
Yeah.
That makes a difference for me. I go, hey, he's sucking up a little bit like that, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that's a smart thing to do. If there's a manager of a comedy club, and you know, why not follow him on Instagram and Facebook and laugh at his stupid fucking shit? I mean, that's part of the business.
Yeah, and it's not even so much to suck up. It's just to show that I want to support, like that. I want
exactly. No, that's really the right thing. And listen, there's a guy named Howie Nave who was the guy up at the Improv at the Lake for many years. And Jesus, I was all over his social, and I was, you know, laughing at, you know, just to show that, hey, I'm supporting and I'm part of this, and you know. So that's all real practical stuff that can't hurt. It might not necessarily help, right? But it can't hurt to just insert yourself into the milieu, I guess, if you will.
Right. Yeah. That's the plan. And I just want people to know that, like, I want them to feel like we're all trying to accomplish the same goal, so that, like, I want them to know that, like, I understand how it feels like to. And basically that's it. That's why I'll do that for everybody. I sit on my phone for like 10 minutes liking everybody and reading their stuff.
It's good. It would be better. And I was really guilty of this early on. In fact, I when I first saw Adam, I was sitting in on that class, and Adam was doing his little bit in the class. And I literally thought, fuck this guy. He's very funny. And I hated him for it. Like, right. I wanted to, because I was the funniest guy in my class, and I wanted to make sure that, and this was still when I was like, I don't want to do stand-up, but this weird ego thing, right? So Adam was very funny, and my roommate at the time said, when we saw that class graduation, Adam did really well, and I was like, fuck this guy, you know. My roommate was like, you should be buddies with that guy, like he's funny, and like you should get to know him and you know, make him part of your little world, and he was right. And the teacher of the class told me, because I didn't want anybody else to be funny. And he's like, hey, there's room for lots of funny people in the business, you know? And I had to learn that in the first 4 or 5 years, because anytime anybody was good, I was like, fuck that guy. Like I want to be the only good guy in Reno or whatever, you know. But there's room for everybody, so we should all be trying to support each other in this, because it's something that not everybody can do, man. What we do is not something everybody can do. Everybody thinks they can do it. If we're doing it right, then everybody watching us thinks they can do it, but they can't. Not everybody can do what we do.
Right. And I like to even encourage people that because people are always like, well, why don't you try it like this? And I'm like, well, why don't you try it like that? Like, go up and do an open mic. And like, it's not even to be like a look how hard it is kind of thing. It's like, go feel for yourself and see, like, because you do have to like read the room, and you can't like do it every time like you want to do it. Like sometimes you gotta be flexible.
There's so much. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's so much that goes into it past, like Luke said, like you wrote for a long time, right? Well, writing jokes is way different than performing them, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, yeah. like I would love to just write comedy and never have to get on stage, but that's the thing. You have to learn how to handle the mic stand and the microphone, and you know, for my first 3 or 4 years, like I was playing with the cord too much because I was nervous, all that stupid shit that you're not thinking about, right? So all just the basics of how to not turn your back to the audience when you put the mic stand behind you that people don't think about. And again, reading the room, like I've seen guys get up at a fancy benefit, you know, for like wild horses or something. There's a bunch of well-off to do mid-50s people in the room, and they lead off with their like, so I had my finger jammed in my girlfriend's twat. And you're like, whoa, dude, like that's not the joke to lead with here. So the reading the room goes into it. Being able to work in front of 14 people, like as Luke knows now, like that's a different. I do a way different set when there's 14 people than I do when there's 140 people, right? It's different. Yeah. You have to work differently. So there's so much more that goes into it behind the scenes that regular audience members don't understand that's going on while you're up there. And you have to be able to think on the fly, and you have to be able to go with the situation. Doing stand-up always made me a better person live on the radio with like phone calls and stuff, because you just had to be in that mode. You had to be ready to react to things. So that was always helpful for that. But you're right, and you guys are so young in the business. And again, that's why I have respect for you guys. You know those kind of things. You know you can't just roll in to the open mic and go, I'm going to fucking kill it tonight. You know that there's so much that goes into it, not just on stage, not just the writing, but the networking and all that stuff. And it makes me feel good to see that, you know.
Yeah. How would you say that since you've started, how has the Reno scene changed? I mean, is it way bigger than it used to be?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So this is 1999, right? We come out of that class, and really the only open mic then was Great Basin, but it did well. It was almost like a comedy club. It was Thursday nights, and so Catch a Rising Star was here, and there was a place at the Sands called Just for Laughs, and sometimes there would be more people at the Great Basin open mic than there would be at Just for Laughs. Catch a Rising Star was killing it, you know. Things were good back then, but there would be more people at Great Basin. There was a lot of college kids. So it was a really great place to learn. And it was a fairly supportive thing, as much as like, you know, we're all doing this because there's some weird thing in our psyche, right? Like for me, I don't know, you guys seem pretty well adjusted, but for me, it was like I never felt good enough for my dad or whatever, you know? So as much as a bunch of fucking emotionally damaged people could be supportive, we were all pretty supportive of each other. And that was you were actually getting good feedback because you were in front of an audience, you know, you were in front of sometimes 60 people at an open mic, and it wasn't, you know, whereas now there's several more open mics, and sometimes you end up in front of 12 people, 8 of whom are comics that don't want to laugh at you, you know, right? So it was a great place to start. And then a few years later, 3rd Street came along. My friend Kinsey Damon, I believe, got that started over there. And then Pat Shillito ran it for a long time. And 3rd Street became the new Great Basin, and that was a good scene. And now there's just, good Lord, you guys probably know, and I don't know off the top of my head, but there's several pretty quality open mics now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There's you guys do something. You guys do shows.
Yeah, and we do. We did.
Yeah.
An open mic at Thursday at Blind Onion and Sparks, which
was doing really well. Yeah.
That's what I heard. Listen, I have never been to that, but I have friends that have been to that and said, man, it gets a great turnout and it's run very nicely and stuff. So there's many more places for new people to work out now.
Yeah, so we got one on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, library on Wednesday, and then 2 on Thursday.
Yeah, so that's for a town,
comedy
for an area
only.
for an area this size, that's really a lot of places
to
get up, man. That's great. I mean, the more
some people actually come to watch these things, which is really cool.
Well, the last place I saw you, Luke, we were at Spock's show at Alturas there, and it got a good It was a really nice turnout. It was 25, 30 people there, and that's great for a middle of the week, 9 o'clock at night. And what you guys are doing, I love what Dead Panda's doing, because you guys are doing the open mics, you're doing the showcases, you guys got a bunch of stuff going on, which is great. It gives people it's levels, right? It gives you a lot of levels. And what I would like to see happen is that more people start at these open mics, then maybe kind of graduate to these showcases like you guys are doing, and then become Harry at the Laugh Factory is always looking for local guys talented enough to host. It's not financially feasible to bring in hosts from out of town all the time.
Right.
So he's always looking for local talent. He'd like to have a bigger roster of local talent. So what I'm liking lately is there's more. It used to be a pretty big jump, man, from 3rd Street to the club. That was a big leap for people to make. And now with these more different open mics and different showcases that the scene is doing, I think it makes that an easier transition.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, my jump was from open mics to shitty road gigs, which aren't available as much as they used to be either. There's a guy named David Tribble who used to book a lot of shit.
We've heard of the Tribble runs.
The Tribble runs.
Added him as a friend on Facebook.
Who is? Yeah. No, he's and so, but that was a lot of work back when I started. He had tons and tons of stuff. Comedy was a little bit different, and that's where that was the transitional thing. So you would go to Winnemucca on a Thursday and have to deal with that, and again talk about reading the room, and that's where you got your chops. And then you go, okay, and the networking benefit to that was amazing, because you were working with Road Dog Comics, man, but they also worked some clubs and they knew people, and then they would maybe take you along with them on the road to these better gigs, and that whole sort of progression isn't there anymore. Those road gigs are, because of the way things happened when the economy went bad, those gigs are fewer and far between, and guys that used to work clubs are working those gigs again. So it makes it tough for the younger guys to get those. So having this sort of layered levels in your own town makes that transition to the club easier.
And well, speaking of transitions, Luke, why don't you transition us into an ad break here?
Okay, now it's time for the ad break, brought to you by Anchor and Neti Pot.
Oh God, it's a fun one.
Yeah. Michael has never used a Neti Pot before, so what he's gonna do, Hello, Michael has never used a Neti Pot before, so we're gonna witness his first time trying it. And then I'm going to put 2 salt packets in it so that we have hypertonic or very salty solution.
And this isn't, we're not getting paid by Neil Med.
No, it would be nice, but no. Okay. Because typically you'd want to start with like half a packet or something, but we're just going to bump you up to hardcore mode. So a little too warm.
Will you blow on it?
No, I'm not going to blow on it.
Can you put some of the tap water in there too? I'd like it to have a little bit of chlorine.
Seriously?
Yeah. All right, everybody. This is my first time using a Neti Pot, so I just 90 degrees, 45. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go.
Tilt your head.
That's not so bad. There's so much. There's just so much.
Yep.
Here we go. We gotta get both sides.
Yep.
Oh, why is it burned? Oh, it's not so bad. Huh. Wow, it's refreshing. I have a drooly, teary mess.
Okay, now you can blow your nose. Good job there, pal. Good job.
I don't see why people don't do this all the time. It's fucking awesome. God, that was the best thing I've ever done. All right, everybody, and that was my experience with a Neti Pot. Back to the podcast. All right, welcome back. We're here with Dave. My favorite topping on top of a Mencarelli is not chocolate, but it's. But that was my favorite part of that video, because that lady had no idea what she was talking about until she had already said chocolate.
If I remember correctly, she was she'd had a few drinks down. That was at the Italian festival, and we went down there and just talked to people, and I asked her, what's your favorite sauce to go on Mencarelli, and she said chocolate, and I was like, okay, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, you're like, good answer, and then walked off. Yeah.
See you later.
So and those were with like local networks and stuff. Is there any kind of like any continuation of those things going on around?
So a lot of that was we started that. I'm trying to remember now. So again, Rick D'Elia, who's been working comic and headliner for close to 25 years now, was living here. I'd met a girl when he was working a club here and was living here. And I can't remember why we started the show. I don't even think we had a place to put it when we started it. And we were really just like shoestringing it, man. We didn't know. We had one shitty camera. But somehow we got the CW, the local CW, to air that at like 1:30 in the morning on Sunday nights or some shit. So we were able to get, like in that video you're talking about, like they gave us some CW t-shirts. So we looked kind of like, and mic, the things that go on the microphone. So we looked like we were really from the CW. And then so it was sort of like just a talk show kind of thing. And then it evolved after I left, unfortunately, because it got much more fun. It evolved into sort of like a sketch show when Oscar Ovius and Mike Fleming got more involved with Rick. And then they would do some stuff at Catch a Rising Star. They were friends with the manager there. And some of those, Oscar and Rick did some really creative, funny stuff after I was gone. They did a couple of shows at the Mustang Ranch where they pretended like Mike Fleming was kind of this goofy, nerdy sci-fi comic book guy, and they pretended like he was a Make-A-Wish kid out at the Mustang Ranch. And some of that stuff is really, really funny. Oscar was a great writer and song parody guy for that. Some of that stuff exists somewhere. I will try to find the links to that stuff and let you guys know. Because it really is. It was a lot of work, and I don't. I'm also not much for a lot of work. So.
Neither is Luke, and that's why I've taken over the editing on the podcast.
Well, it's because you're recording it on your computer. Never mind.
Yeah, that's true.
These are just internal squabbles. So I know you're a big baseball buff. So who is the greatest baseball player of all time? Is it A, Wade Boggs, or B, Tony Gwynn?
Oh, man.
Of all time.
To choose between those two, I gotta go with Tony Gwynn.
Okay.
I just saw on Twitter that if Tony Gwynn came back to life and played in Major League Baseball and went 0 for 1180, if he had 1182 more at bats and didn't get a hit, he'd still have a lifetime average over 300. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Insane.
And Boggs played for the Red Sox, and I hate the Red Sox.
Okay.
And all of Massachusetts, for that matter.
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway, what have you been doing during the quarantine? Just working from home, and like, you've been doing anything on the side?
So luckily, I'm set up to do the radio show. I work at a radio station in Truckee, and I'm set up to do the radio show and all the production stuff and the commercials that I do from home, which has been lovely. I'm never going back to work. Just working from home, like, it's been so good for my mental health. I feel, I hate to throw around. I'm trying so hard lately in this thing and even on the radio to not throw around all these terms that are getting thrown around too much, like the new normal and these unprecedented times. And time wealth is one that I hear a lot, right? But I feel like I have a time wealth now. Like, I don't have to, I'm not rushed to drive 30 minutes to work every day. I can sort of get up, and I have been riding the stationary bike every day and working out a little bit, which for me is insane. I'm diabetic, and your blood sugar should be around 120. For years I averaged probably 220, and I'm averaging 140 now over the last 60 days. So it's been for me, working at home has been a real a good thing, and I feel so blessed that I could continue. Listen, I've had some minor financial hardships because I'm not performing comedy, which was sort of all of my extra money, but I'm so blessed to have been able to stay employed and sit in my basement every day and still do radio, which is not like work anyway. So I've been really lucky, and I haven't done any stand-up kind of stuff. I haven't done any of these Zoom shows or anything. That's scary to me. That's like as bad as being in front of 14 people doing it on Zoom.
It was worse.
Have you done it? Have you guys done it?
Well, like, I got asked point blank, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, okay, because I've been resistant to it, but yeah, like, there was no audience. They were just gonna stream and record it, and all the comics were muted except for one person, so it's like I maybe got one person to chuckle, and then it's just me talking to the camera, so it wasn't fun.
No, I can't.
In my opinion,
part of the performance part, when I do enjoy it, is when you're connecting with people, right? Like, so I don't see how that, and I'm not shitting on anybody that's doing it, because I know some comic friends of mine that are making some money doing it, and I saw a buddy of mine in Denver did a show a week or two ago at this little bar restaurant where they do them, they used to do them once a week, once a month, and they somehow figured out how to run like drive-in movie speakers out to the parking lot. And so he did it, and they could hear him, and if they liked the joke, if they're laughing, they would honk their horns. I thought, well, at least you would know, right, that you were getting some response. I was like, maybe I would try that. But these Zoom shows scare the shit out of me. I feel like I would be so scared to do that. I don't think that.
Yeah, because Dave was supposed to be, in one of our shows back in March, but that got canceled and rescheduled.
Yeah, that was like the fucking last one, and I was really looking forward to that show. I really was.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get some people to come, and
yeah, it was like, I feel like just a week before that, Reno Improv is like, we're gonna shut down. Yeah. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, and that's when everything went away. We didn't know, right? We were still like, oh, we'll see what's gonna happen. And you had sent out a message to all of us on the show and said, what do you guys want to do? And I think most of us were like, well, we'll do it if it's there. But then things changed pretty rapidly that last week. So, but I'm sure that will be back, and I hope to be able to do it, because I was looking forward to that, because I hear such great things about that show. So.
Oh, it's a really fun environment to perform in. You'll like it. And then we rescheduled it for May 21st, but that isn't going to happen either. So I think I pushed it back to September, October,
August or September now. Yeah,
something.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. But so you say you still have problems with nerves, but if you go to someplace like the Laugh Factory, do you get nervous there since you've been performing there so often?
So not as much when I host, right? Because that's over pretty quickly. You're talking about 10 or 12 minutes in the beginning, maybe 15, and then a few minutes in the middle. So I feel like even when the situation isn't optimal, if there's 14 people and they're kind of rough or whatever, it's over pretty quickly. But I do still get a little, I don't know if nervous is the right word, but still a little uptight and apprehensive maybe. If I'm doing the middle spot, you know, and I'm going to do a 20-minute set or a 25-minute set, I still get a little more nervous. I get nervous or more apprehensive when, like, to be honest, when you guys are there or other comics are there, and that's part of it for me too. It's not always the audience, but it's like, oh, I like this headliner and I don't want them to think I suck, or like, you guys come see me and I'm like, I don't want to have a bad set in front of other comics, you know. CBD lozenges and gummies have helped me a lot to just take the edge off and make me be more in the moment. And I have enjoyed it more since the CBD stuff. I can't smoke weed because I wouldn't be able to function up there and stuff. So I would be like, what? So the CBD just takes the edge off and allows me to be in the moment and just enjoy it for what it is and put it in perspective. That's the key for me, is going, okay, whatever. And no matter, I just said the host spot is so short, but even if I'm like at your show, right? I was apprehensive and I was nervous because it was going to be an hour or so, right? 45 minutes or an hour. And like,
yeah,
okay.
45.
Even that is a relatively short amount of time, even if it's bad. And even if it's bad, it's not like you're in agony, or, you know what I mean? I'm trying to learn to put it in better perspective, you know, and enjoy it more.
Right. I think that there is way less edge being a host, because your job basically is just get on the crowd's team and then encourage them to support the people on stage. And like, I think that is a lot of fun to do, actually. So.
And that really is it. And that's, again, you guys, I'm so impressed that you guys understand this. Luke and I have talked about this too, and you guys understand this at 3, 4, 5 years in. The host, my job is not necessary. If I'm funny, that's a bonus, right? Because my job is to get on the crowd side, get them comfortable, let them know we're going to have fun. Nobody's going to be shitting on, you know, we're not going to be looking for people to pick on, or, you know, it's just giving them how this is going to work. We're going to have these 3 acts come up here. You got to kind of tell them, hey, this guy's coming up and we're going to do this. So that's a lot of the hosting thing, is just being genial, you know, and like, hey, I'm like, and so both of you guys have that. When I met Luke the first time, and Michael too, like, both of you guys are very nice, pleasant guys. And so that goes a long way to being a good host. And that's a step that a lot of comics want to skip, but I make more money because I think I'm a good host, because I get a lot of hosting gigs. So headliner and middle spots are hard to come by. Host spots, if you're good, are plentiful, because a lot of comics want to skip that spot, you know? So if you're thinking about the financial end of it, when I first met Harry, I had been running Catch a Rising Star, and I headlined there a couple of times a year. And Harry said, listen, I know you headlined, and I could middle you at Catch, but I probably middle you twice a year. But if you host, I'd probably work you 6 or 7 times a year. So financially, it's better. And I take pride in it. When another comic tells me, hey man, you did a great job as the host, I take a lot of pride in that, because again, that's a skill that some people just want to skip over, but it is an important skill. And it is about the other guys on the show, Michael. You're absolutely right. It's about setting it up for them, getting the audience ready for them. And then again, if you're funny, that's a bonus. That's great.
You can find your spots. Yeah. And like,
right.
you can look like, if you're paying attention to the people, you can look like an absolute genius if you reference, like, even if you point out a mistake somebody made, if you can make their mistake fun and like get the crowd laughing at it, like, then you look absolutely like the smartest person in the room, and like the crowd stays with you.
That's the thing, is I see hosts, young guys that are hosts that you know are just trying to do their time as the host so they can get to that middle spot. They're not even watching the show. Like I try to, unless, you know, you guys are there and are fucking around up front or whatever, I try to pay attention to the show, so that if there's something that I can call back to in the middle or at the end, you know, and bring up or get a laugh out of, like, that's important to kind of watch the show and see what's going on as well. And that's another skill that I had to develop that I wasn't good at, that I work at now, is that crowd work thing, like you said, of being, of paying attention to what's going on and looking like a genius because you came up with something right in the moment there. And that the CBD has helped me with that too, because instead of thinking, oh fuck, when is that light coming? I mean, am I almost done? And being 3 jokes ahead, being in the moment makes you a better host because you are able to react to things going on in the crowd, you know?
And I find it's really easy too, because it's something, like 9 times out of 10, it's something everybody's thinking, but you get the microphone,
Oh, yeah.
so you get to say it.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. You are, as the host, you are speaking for the audience, you know? That's a great way to put it. That's an excellent way to look at it.
And then, have you ever heard any of Luke's intros for guest comics?
No.
They are polarizing, to say the least.
Yeah. I don't do that as much, but I just write just random shit. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Like
See,
I don't know, like, oh, this next guy, he likes eating butterflies that are like freshly hatched out of the cocoon. He just lets them fly into his mouth. And if people don't find it funny, it's still something that's like the people going on stage can talk about or be like, what the fuck was that? That was the weirdest intro ever.
Yeah,
dude, so to me, like the reason to do that is because that's just a great story to always tell. Like if I'm somewhere and someone goes, do you know Luke Westerberg? And I go, yeah. And like, he brought me up one time and he goes, I like to eat butterflies. And I'll go like, oh, one time he said, you know, I like to fucking, you know, eat highlighter pen. Like, that's a great thing to do. And that goes to the ball busting aspect and the roasting aspect of it, where you're just fucking around, having some fun. I mean, Rick D'Elia used to tell me some great stories about Tom Cotter when they were working together. He's a comic out of Boston, and they would come up with these just awful intros for each other when they're at these shitty road gigs and stuff. And so I always thought that was great. So I always try to do that with D'Elia. Like, I'll introduce him, like, I'll give his regular credits, and they'll be like, and tonight he's not wearing any underwear or whatever, you know, just to do something, to have some fun with it. So I think that's great, man. I hope that you'll do one of those for me when we work together.
Yeah, we'll see.
Coming to the stage next, this motherfucker thinks Tony Gwynn is better than Wade Boggs.
Luke would agree with you on that one.
Yeah, totally.
And so then, what do you hope to see at the end of what are your plans for post-lockdown comedy?
So that's an interesting question, because I just got off the phone a couple of days ago with Harry Basil, who runs the Laugh Factory, and we talked about what it's going to look like. And I would be interested in your guys' opinion on this too. So are you going to go to a show now at the Laugh Factory, right, where we have 3 comics, let's say, right? And or a place you go that has 3 comics, host, middle, and feature. Are you going to sit through or an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is, right, an hour and a half of all quarantine and COVID-19 jokes? Or is it important for me to do just the, you know, regular material, you know, like I feel like I have had some, and I hope you guys know, I don't know if you know me well enough to know that this is not normal for me, but I don't normally like anything I do comedy wise. Like, I'm always like, that's pretty hack and lame, but I feel like I've had some good social media jokes. I feel like I've had some pretty good quarantine jokes on Facebook and stuff. And so I want to do some of those on stage, but I also don't, as an audience member, I don't want to sit through an hour and a half of everybody's similar COVID-19 jokes, right? So I don't know what it's going to, I am looking forward, for the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to I'm not like craving getting back on stage, but I'm looking forward to your show, to be able to do a little longer set, work on some stuff that I had been working on before that I wanted to try that's new, and mix it in and see how it's all going to work with the COVID-19 stuff. I was brand new. I was like a year and a half in when 9/11 happened, which is sort of a similar situation as far as like, that's what everybody was talking about. But there were still comics, and I got comments from audience members that were like, oh, it was nice. I didn't do any 9/11 stuff. I was not long enough to be comfortable like taking that fucking risk. And I did have people say to me, oh, it's nice to just hear about, you know, ex-wives and kids and crazy moms and stuff, you know. So I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to getting back and maybe doing a mixture of things. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what people are going to do. Like what do you guys think it's going to look like?
Well, I think the open mics are going to be absolutely oversaturated with COVID jokes and quarantine jokes. But I think it's like I took a class once when I was writing, and we were talking about dick jokes, and there's like a rule of thumb, like if you're going to do a dick joke, it better be the funniest dick joke there. Like I think it needs to be handled with that same kind of precision.
Right. It has to be something sort of, it has to be from your, well, this is going to sound really fucking like what we do is really, really important or whatever, but it has to be from your unique perspective, I think, right? Like anybody can write we all got fat during quarantine, right? Or we all, whatever, all these fucking memes. Anybody can write a meme, right? Yeah. So I think it has to be from your unique perspective on what's going on, you know?
Yeah, I just released like it's called Another Quarantine Song, and it's basically about how I want to cuddle with people. Well, Michael probably doesn't know this, but I referenced me and him taking off our shirts and cuddling just for the oxytocin. I don't know.
No, I knew. I watched it.
I'm jealous of that ability that you have, Luke. I have for 6 or 7 years now tried to pick up the guitar and take some lessons and just learn 3 or 4 chords to add that to the repertoire, because I think that's a good thing to have in your toolbox. That's another thing that's changed for me in comedy. I used to think, fucking guys with puppets and guitars and doing magic. But now I realize whatever fucking tool you can have in the box, because in front of 14 people, your jokes may not be working, but your parody songs are going to do all right, you know? And so that's good. And your quality parody songs, you know? It's one thing to write, funny lyrics to an already done song, you know, like I'm looking for a lover who won't blow my brother. Like that's funny. That's going to get laughs, but it's easy. But when you're writing original parody tunes, you know, that to me that's a skill and a craft. And I meant to reach out to you a couple of weeks ago. I'm doing a segment on the radio now, Mondays with my mom, and she's pissed that she doesn't have a theme song. So I was going to see if we could work out a deal where you just write a little 30-second theme song for Mondays with my mom. So remind me about that.
That's the name of the show, Mondays with my mom?
It's just a bit that I do, Mondays with Mencarelli's mom.
But I could probably, there's a lot of, I could work with something. Probably.
Yeah, we'll work something. I'll compensate you for your effort. But yeah, I mean, it's, I think you're right, Michael. I think open mics are going to be just littered with, and some are going to be really bad, and you know, and most are going to be probably really derivative, you know. So I'm anxious to see though what a comedy show is going to look like, because I think there's quarantine fatigue, right? There's just, it's all we've heard about now for 2 months. So when you're out and you is that what you want to, I mean, but you also can't not reference it, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
That's the other thing.
I'm hoping that people just remember Tiger King happened at the beginning. I hope we're not in here so long that people forget about Tiger King.
Oh God.
Well,
yes.
That's why when I was doing the Zoom show, I was, or how did I put it? Well, I have to address the elephant in the room. It's the topic that everyone wants to know about. And that is, of course, the worst song in the world is Kid Rock's 2010 hit, All Summer Long. I forgot how I fucking said that, but basically it was a misdirection. I'm like, the topic that's on all of your minds, right. Kid Rock's All Summer Long. It's a terrible song.
But that's a great way to go at it. That's an excellent original way to go at it right there. To go like, listen, we have to get this out there. You know? That's an excellent way to go at it.
Yeah, I gotta address her.
Well, and this year has been kind of a cornucopia of like crazy shit. There's been like Kobe Bryant, and now there's like murder hornets, and now like it's just gonna keep coming. By December, we're gonna be fighting Godzilla, and I can't wait for that.
I think Cthulhu's coming back.
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
I think that I'm impressed that you know how to say that.
Well, I'm roommates with Michael. So he's like the biggest Lovecraft fan around.
I could never say it again. Cthulhu is how it's pronounced.
Cthulhu, right, Michael?
It's supposed
Or
to
is
be
it
pronounced
Cthulhu?
it's supposed to be pronounced with an alien tongue, so it's pronounced Cthulhu, Hululu, and like there's really, throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks with that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Cthulhu from now on because I can say that, so I like it.
God. So other than that, you got it. What else do we have, Luke? Because I'm running low on my notes.
Yeah, well, this is probably kind of a bummer topic, but I guess I don't know much about the Great Basin, Mike.
Yeah,
I heard there was like some tragedy involved with that.
If there was, I'm either not aware or I've forgotten about it, possibly, or with the mic itself, or with one of the comics.
With the comic that was running it.
I don't know who was running it last.
Okay.
But that's a possibility.
I had just heard it shut down, and there was like the guy running it had committed suicide.
But... that's what I thought you might have been alluding to, and that was earlier on. It shut down for a little bit because of that. Yeah, and I'll tell you who it is, because I think it's a common thing, and I want to give some props to the guy's name is Randolph Belms. So the guy we talked about earlier that you think I'm talking about, he was that guy of the scene, right? He would show up, be unprepared, and go up and make all of us look fucking amateur for however long he decided to be up there. He was incredibly full of life and like just these great observations, and he was a big, heavy set, loud guy, but he was super witty and intelligent. Listen, him and I had our arguments and fights, and looking back now, mainly probably because I was jealous of his natural talent. But he was a bigger than life guy, and everybody loved him. Tragically, he was dealing with whatever demons a lot of us are dealing with that decided to get on stage and just, unfortunately ended his own life. But certainly made an impact on a lot of people, and I was new in the scene, and all of us were kind of new. And you can mention his name in that group of people who I'm still friends with, some of them, and you get I think you get the same reaction that I just gave you, and it's genuine. A lot of people might say that knew all of us back then say that that's not genuine, that I'm sugarcoating that because he killed himself, and that's 10 years or 15 years ago now. But that's because we definitely had our differences, but with the span of time and me being able to mature and grow as a person and become a little bit of a different person, that's my honest feelings about it now. Listen, I had some things that I didn't like about him or whatever, but I always respected his talent and his ability. And I wish he would have a little bit more. But
I mean, do you think there's something about like comedy that's kind of attracts people who might not be emotionally or mentally stable?
Yeah, I mean, there's some weird thing, right, that makes us want to get up in front of people we don't know and have them like us, right? So something, and most people have something like that. Do you guys know Drake Nelson? I mentioned him earlier. Do you guys know Drake?
I know the name.
Yeah, I've only heard it.
Drake was a kid, sort of like you, Luke, that came to me a long time ago when I was managing Catch and did the right things, and I put him up, and we've ended up taking him on the road with me and stuff a few times, and he's the only guy that I've ever met that's a comic that goes, well, I go, what, we were on the road one time, 8-hour fucking car trip, and I go, what makes you get up there, man? He goes, I just like making people laugh, and I was like, fuck you, what makes you get up there? But he really is a guy that just likes making people laugh, But I think most of us have, and that's where that's where original quality comedy comes from, is some kind of fucking weird mental thing, right? I think.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
It's from being the kid in the classroom that gets yelled at by the teacher for killing for the rest of the class, and then you want to just shove it in the face of the teacher and be like, "I fucking told you." Like,
right? Yes. Yeah. Like I changed my name like 2 years in, right? Because people couldn't say Mencarelli as well as Luke can, and I changed to, like, I went by Dave Lorraine for a little while. That was my grandmother's name. And then I was like, you know what? No, fuck that. Because if my name is ever anywhere, I want those assholes that I went to high school with to know that's me, fuck you guys. So there's obviously some weird fucking thing there about that, so I think all of us, and I think at whatever level, at that open mic level, where we were when that happened with Randy, and all the way to, Richard Jenny and Robin Williams, and I think what drives funny and original perspective on things is some sort of, I mean, you at the very least, your brain works differently, right? You see things differently than the masses. So when you do see things differently, you might be a little more insightful, and you might be a little too insightful, and a little, you look at yourself more closely than you would, and than other people do. I always think, like, if I could just get a little fucking frontal lobotomy, a little bit, enough to be like a Yankees fan, that my life would be easier. Like I know people that are just happy when they got enough money left at the end of the week to get 24 pack of Coors Light and watch the race with their fucking Dale Jr. cutout in their living room. And it sounds like I'm shitting on those people, but I'm somewhat envious of people that can just enjoy the simple things in life. And I always am overthinking things, and full of anxiety and stuff, but that's where the comedy comes from as well. So take the good with the bad.
Dissecting. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dave. I think that now I think it would be a good time. We're at an hour now, so
now that I've brought us all down with the suicide talk, huh?
Yeah.
It's compelling.
Hey, come see me.
We got 5 minutes left.
Come see me at the Dead Panda show, and I'll talk more about mental health.
It'll be hilarious.
But you can follow Dave at unofficial _ Dave Mencarelli on Instagram. Where else can people find you at?
That you could just search that name. It's Mencarelli, which is fucking stupid. I should have kept that Lorraine. That would have been easier to find on social media. But Instagram is great, and then Twitter at Dave G Mencarelli, and then Facebook as well. I think it's Dave Mencarelli / or something. So
maybe give a shout out to your radio station and radio
show.
Yeah,
that, and you can stream that. It's 101.5 Truckee Tahoe Radio in Truckee. You can it only really gets around Truckee and the lake, but you could stream it at TruckeeTahoeRadio.com, and there's also an app. It's a AAA alternative station, so we play anything from like Green Day to Sturgill Simpson, and we get to kind of do what we want, which is great. It really is sort of a local independent place. So the music is kind of cool, and then obviously I try to have some fun in the afternoons. I'm on from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. And yeah, if you're in Truckee or you're up around the lake hanging out, check it out. Or if you're just looking for something to listen to while you're sitting around, it's again TruckeeTahoeRadio.com.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, hey man, thanks. Let's be full disclosure. Like, I reached out and begged you guys to have me on, so thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, hey,
we need guests too.
Yeah,
so.
we were excited.
Can I be on?
We were holding hands.
We can have Will Constantine back, but yeah.
So thank you so much for having me on, man. I always like to get on and talk comedy and be able to talk comedy.
Yeah, we did a lot of shop talking today more than
Yeah, sometimes
depends
our
on the guest.
Really go off the rails, but this one was really this is our most straightforward one yet.
I know, and then you go like, hey, Dave's really funny, and you're like, well, I didn't see much of that in that 60 minutes. So.
No, but this should be interesting to comics, especially like new comics wanting some tips.
Yeah, I hope so.
In the industry.
So. Yeah. So out of your dozens of listeners, 15 people will enjoy this one.
And if live shows ever come back, you can catch us all at the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, Michael, keep in touch with me. Let me know, man. I will when that becomes a thing again. I will. I'll probably get you up with before he gets there, just to kind of see what you do, and then we can talk and take from there. And then Luke, you're on the list for next time he comes back as well. So
perfect.
And I guess before we go, I got to know about the semicolon.
Oh, so that is. Let's see. Can you see it there? Yeah. So that's a mental health thing. Okay. Google semicolon project, and it's just a mental health awareness thing. It's again, let me bring it down even another level. It has to do with people who have been affected by suicide. And the semicolon means your story isn't over. It continues after the semicolon.
Oh, okay. So there was like a pause in it.
Yeah, so it's not over. It maybe just stops here for a second, but it should continue. And that's what the semicolon represents. And if you Google semicolon project, it kind of tells you like their big thing is this too shall pass, which seems trite when you're fucking suicidal, but it's just a way. And the tattoos started about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. People started getting them. And I got mine in Boise because those of you that don't know me, that's how fucked up I am. Boise, Idaho is my happy place. So if that doesn't tell you I'm mentally unstable. I got mine there so it would have a little more meaning. And then it's nice because people will recognize it, that know what it means or have one. And it becomes a good bonding experience. And sometimes I've been really helped by somebody who notices it and says the right thing. And sometimes I've been able to help somebody who notices it and I'm able to say the right thing to them. So I appreciate you asking me about that, man. And let me give the shout out to Drake Nelson too, who I'm going to force to listen to this. I was going to get it really tiny here, like on my thumb. And he said, you should get it on the hand that you hold the mic with the most, right where people can see it. And maybe people will ask you about it after shows and you can highlight it more. And it does happen. People come up and they either notice it or they're curious about it. So I really appreciate you asking about that, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I have, something similar. My green bracelet, it just says be here. And it's just a reminder to like get out of my head because I can like think. And especially on stage, like it's not much fun when you're like very mechanical about everything. It's like, okay, I am telling this joke, but you're speaking the words, but your mind is somewhere else. Like, okay.
Yeah, you're just reciting it.
The audience isn't laughing and exactly.
Yeah. So I like that. I like that idea. Is that something you had made for yourself, or you just found that somewhere?
Yeah, it's like 24hourwristbands.com. Yeah. You can put in whatever text and just design it for yourself.
That say Dave Mencarelli on them. That say I gave to Dave that I sell at shows. But like that's a great one to be here. That's a great. I might add that to this, man. I might add be here.
Yeah,
go for it. Because that's the thing. Again, like the CBD. Back to the CBD, like that.
Yeah.
Allows me to be here.
I have some of that CBD oil. You just put it under your tongue. It just calms your shit down.
But that's a great simple phrase that has dual meaning, right? Be here, like be here in the moment, and don't do something stupid. And be here. Michael, you're going to edit all this shit out, I'm sure, right?
No, I think just a couple bonus minutes is no big deal for me.
Yeah. We ended on a positive note, so we can. Well,
this is a positive note too. I'm glad. I love that. Be here. I'm gonna write that down because I think that's a great company thing. But I'll let you guys get back to your real life. Thank you for having me, man. I had a blast. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
And, I look forward to seeing you guys when it's safe.